We're Submit.com, first of all. We're based in Cork. We've been doing grant management software since 2013, and we work with government departments, local authorities nationwide, as well as loads of state, semi-state and private businesses in Ireland, UK and the States. So we have a lot of experience in grant management. And the platform is packed with features. Normally I'd spend about an hour doing a demo, which you're probably glad I'm not going to. But I'll condense that down today into the 20 minutes or so, as I said. And I'll try to touch on the various bits of functionality that Avril, Elaine and Emma mentioned in their pieces earlier. Things like having a communication hub, tagging of applications, roles and permissions, having an audit trail, and this kind of element of having it being a one-stop shop for grant management, and whether that's change request forms, application forms, drawdown requests, all the rest of it. Right, I'm going to share my screen here. And I'm only going to share one slide with you, and then I'll go into the demo. But just to give you a kind of a sense of the overall kind of aims of Submit.com and what it provides. And in summary, this is what we do. We provide intuitive forms. So whatever the device, we have one question per page. You can save a draft at any stage. Makes it very easy for an applicant. We have flexible workflows. So every customer that we have is different. And whatever your stages of assessment you have, you can build them into the platform. Whether that's making use of tags, as was mentioned earlier, to mark an application as it moves through the various stages of assessment. Whether it's using phases. So you might have an application phase to a process. Then you might have an acceptance of grant phase. You might have multiple drawdown phases as the funds are being released. Then you've got secure evaluation, which is key. You can share applications within the platform for assessment without having to email copies of applications around the place. And you can use things like score bars to implement an assessment rubric. You could use an office use only section where you do your qualitative assessment of an application based on a secondary form that you create yourself. And then we've got efficient communication, and that's, I suppose, there's a built-in mailbox. So traditionally, people would have had a blizzard of communication between applicants and the assessment team when they're triaging applications. With this, all the communication is directly tied to an application within the hub. And then there's reporting, and I'll show you this again on the demo, where you can generate spreadsheets, graphs, maps, and so on of related to all your applications. And it's not on this slide, but it's equally important, is GDPR and data protection. All our customers would be the data controller, the data. We have no rights to do anything with your data apart from process it on your behalf. All our data is hosted in Ireland, and it's secure and backed up and so on. And you can control your own retention policies in your own retention of data in line with your own retention policies, which is important as well. Right, that's enough of an intro. We're low on time, so I'll go into the actual demo of the platform. So for the next slightly under 20 minutes, I'm going to explore the platform with an imaginary local development company called Green Synergy. And to simplify it, to shorten it, I've simplified the Community Benefit Fund form dramatically. So first thing I'll do a quick walkthrough as a candidate. So I'm a community group applying for a grant. And after that, I log in as if I'm an administrator. Okay, so you can see that you have a customized domain with whatever your branding is. You can have more than one form on this. Like I have this community benefit fund, but you can create any forms you need. I mean, one thing that was mentioned there was the change request form. So you can make an ad hoc form very, very easily on Submit.com. There's an overall public forms page, but each form also generates its own landing page. Okay, and on this you can put whatever information you want about your scheme. You can have links to guidance documents and so on this landing page. And this is where communication starts. A candidate needs to see all of the information they need about a particular grant in the one place. I'm going to click on apply here. Normally I'll be asked to sign in, register and accept your privacy statement, but for the demo I'll bypass that and I'll go straight into the form. So when a form loads, you'll notice one thing, it's one question per page. And the beauty about this is that it's lovely on mobile, it's lovely on tablets, phones. And another thing is, if I say, type in my answers and my data has been saved as soon as I click next. You're never going to lose any information. I'm going to just fly through this form. It's very short, but as I type my location, you'll notice it's integrated with Google Maps. And this would be particularly important for where you have maybe a 2-kilometer radius restriction on community groups that want to benefit from a fund. You can have every typical type of question that you'd normally have on a form. You can answer them in any order you want. You can save a draft at any time. I'm going to go into just show you a couple of interesting questions. Question 8 here, just to show you branch logic. Again, if you're doing a paper form, sometimes you have to present the candidate with more questions than needed. If I say no to question 8, it moves from question 8 onto question 9. But if I say yes, I'm working with children, it will ask me for my child protection policy. It's a simple example of how to simplify a form, only present candidates with what they need to see. If I go on to question 9, I'll just keep going. There's a table here. This is a very basic table with projected costs, but some of our customers have much more complex financial tables. And by building in formulae, you can massively simplify these forms for candidates. Okay, you'll just notice that the calculation is done for you. Again, in a simple table like that, it's no big deal. But sometimes you might want to be drawing data from one table into the next, into another one, and you can do all that within Submit.com. I'll keep going, and I'll just show you the upload question. It was mentioned earlier that sometimes people like to upload videos, images, documents, and we're very, very strong at media. You notice that there's a 300 megabyte limit for every upload. You can have as many uploads as you want. You can request as many uploads as you want as part of a form. And on this one, I've allowed uploads from your computer. I've allowed links to YouTube. So if I want to upload say an image, if I want to put in a YouTube link, click here, because you'd be surprised how many community groups have their have videos on YouTube showing their past achievements or what they want to do, and so on and so forth. So it's Vimeo, SoundCloud, Dropbox, links to Google Drive, and so on. And normally a form then, I have another question here, which I'm not going to do, but it's a video pitch where you can ask the community group to pitch via their webcam or their mobile device. But I wouldn't chance doing this on Zoom live with 2 cameras going, so I'm going to skip it. And then you notice the signature. I put in my group name as Skip Community Group. My name is here. You can have dynamic content in any question you want. And the way the signature works is you type your name. When you click on Submit, an authentication token is sent to you to validate your signature. Now I'm going to, if I try to submit now, it's going to bounce back. Another great time saver for the administrators of a grant. It tells me what questions I haven't answered, any required questions, and it bounces back to them. So you're not going to be chasing missing information, which makes it much easier for both the applicant and yourself. They're going to, a submitted application, a complete application will have everything that's required. So I'm going to save it as a draft, and I'm going to jump in as a candidate, as an administrator rather. So I'm now in as if I'm working for Green Synergy assessing applications. And the first thing I'll touch on very quickly is the roles within a platform, the team. So there's 2 main roles, team leaders and team members. If I was sitting in AirGrid's position, I'd probably be a team leader. Then I might create team member accounts for the various fund administrators that are working with me. I use real granular control over what each team member can do. So I can create what are called permission profiles. And within a permission profile, I can set exactly what that profile allows a user to do. I can then assign that profile to various members of my team. You also have an external reviewer role, and these would often be the assessment panel. They have very limited permissions. All they can do is score and comment on applications that have been shared with them on the Submit.com platform. Right, I'm going to jump into my forms. So I'm going to look at the Community Benefit Fund here. So straight away you can see I have a budget set. I can see how much I have awarded to date, and I can see what's left of that budget. And that's different for every grant. And that's a dynamic data. So as I assign monies to applicants, that will update. So I have a real-time picture of where my money is going. Each form you create generates a QR code and a share link. That's what you'll be sending to your applicants or posting online for them to apply. I can send group messages to various cohorts within the scheme. So if I want to send a reminder to all my draft applications on the Community Benefit Fund, click on the message button, select my cohort and send a message. Now I'm going to jump in and look at some applications and what they look like. So you know, first of all, there's various layout settings I can change, from tile views to list views. I can change from dark mode to daytime mode and so on. So all those features that you'd expect are on the platform for ease of use. You'll notice on each application you've got a name, and you've got the name of the group they represent, and you've got these badges. These are tags that our customer sets up to mark their own workflow. Each form you make can have its own library of tags. So I've got various statuses here. I can see Mary Smith has a complete application. Katie O'Donovan has a complete application that's been approved. She's been pushed through the process. And she's been invited to the next phase. Now, the next phase might be drawdown of funds. That might be acceptance of a grant offer. But I'm going to go through the kind of triage process with Mary Smith here. All I've got is a complete application. It has no tags on it. So I'm going to go into view it and show you what the application consists of. So first of all, there's a form, and this is the written answers to the questions. There's the uploads that she has provided. So she's got, if I click into any of these, I've got her child protection policy, various images, links to media, there's a YouTube link, and so on. I have all of those in there. I can also attach files. Sometimes our customers want to attach a file themselves that sits outside of the application. That's where this attachment comes in. If I want to send a message, so imagine that I go through Mary Smith's application and I want to send a direct message asking her to change something. I can say from here, click on new, and I'm just going to say, "Hi Mary, please update." And I send that message. But this is where this communications hub comes into play. Normally, if I send an email to somebody, my colleagues need to be copied in, and suddenly you've got this growing body of emails. Whereas here, you look at the application. Anyone that has access to this application as an administrator can jump into this thread. So myself and my colleagues have a shared hub that we can communicate with an applicant. If I go on holidays tomorrow after asking Mary to update something, Dee can jump in on next week and continue the conversation with Mary. Now, obviously, I've asked her to update something, but her application is complete. So I'd want to convert it to draft. And that's a simple matter of clicking here to convert it to draft. It will convert back to complete when Mary resubmits. But there's other scenarios where Mary might get on the phone to me saying, I want to change something in my application. Can you do it for me? And that's no problem either. Click on Edit Application. We'll say, imagine she's updated her phone number. You can update it on her behalf, and there's a full audit trail maintained of any of the old value to new value and the timestamp of any changes that you make. And again, all of these functionalities down the right-hand side are dependent on the permission assigned to the team member. You can decide who can do what. Now, the last thing here is this office use only, the last part of the form. Again, this is optional, but a lot of the time people might put a checklist to make sure they meet your criteria. They might want to put in a qualitative assessment in there. And that you can design your own form that you answer about these applications. And this is fantastic for a good audit trail for decide if somebody comes back to you down the line saying, why did you or did you not fund me? You've got all of your answers in here. I'm going to imagine that Mary Smith has come back to me and resubmitted her application with the missing information I requested. I might want to tag her. So I'll click on the tag button here and I'll say, okay, she's now ready for assessment. I'll read through it again. She's eligible. Again, these tags are just sample tags. You can build a library yourself. And the next thing, if she's eligible, I might want to share her with my evaluation committee. So I might click on the folders button, and I have a folder, community grants for assessment. I click there, she's in a folder, my assessment panel get the notification that she's ready to score and comment on. And the scoring looks something like this. If I am going to scoring, I have 3 basic score bars in here, but this is what your assessment panel will get. You can have as many score bars as you want, and you can have different weights on each one. You can also allow people to add a note to each score bar to justify why they gave a particular score. So once she's scored, I might say, okay, she's met the threshold, I'm going to approve her. Put that tag on. And then I want to say, how much have I approved her for? And this is what the ladies earlier were talking about, tracking the amounts you give to everybody in real time. So I click into the grant tracking, and I'm going to say the total amount I'm awarding her is €2,500. And this automatically adjusts what you have left in your budget. And as you draw down, you can subtract from that total until all the funds have been drawn down for this particular applicant. A lot of the time then, I might want to invite her to the next phase. And this will be the last bit of admin I'll do here on the applicant before I move on to reporting. So I might want to say there's an invite button here, and you can build in multiple forms, multiple stages into an assessment, into a scheme. This one, I've got the application phase, which is what Mary Smith submitted her application for. I have an acceptance phase, and I have a drawdown phase. So if I invite her, it has a pre-written email that I have customized. I'll attach maybe a letter of offer and send that invitation. Now I'm going to jump back very quickly to the other applications, because there's one applicant here. I'm going to stick with the Marys. And there's Mary O'Driscoll, has multiple phases complete. If I go into her application phase is similar to the other one, but I can jump from that to application, to acceptance, to drawdown. I'm going to look at her drawdown. This is her request, where a typical form might look something along the lines of this: complete a schedule of expenditure and upload invoices and receipts to match what you have on your schedule of expenditure. And possibly lastly, maybe upload copies of bank statements showing the transactions. Now, if I want to check a drawdown request for lighting, costumes, and transport here, it's very easy for me to jump down to the application and see what else she actually asked for that was approved. Lighting and transport. Maybe I don't want to pay out her costumes portion of that drawdown request. Okay, and I'll keep moving because time is running very low here. I'm going to touch on reporting before I finish up and take questions. So there's a full live reporting hub here. No, most of our customers do everything within the platform, but all of these are exportable. So first of all, across all of your funds, you have an overview of application growth, registration growth, and your grant tracking. All of these graphs are customizable. I mean, I can go in and say, I can see what's happened in the last 6 months and so on, what has been awarded, what has been drawn down. But I can dig much deeper into specific forms. So I go into forms here, and I'm going to keep focusing on the Community Benefit Fund. Click on that. And again, I get the same graphs as you saw in the overview, but these are with respect to one grant. I can generate spreadsheets with as much or as little data as I want. In this summary, if I click on Generate Report here, this is downloadable as a CSV. And the data that I can include on this is anything to do with the candidate's registration, anything to do with my scoring, commenting, tagging, grant tracking information, anything that the candidate submits on their application itself, or any information that you put in on the office use only section. So whatever you click on those, when you generate the report, you'll get a spreadsheet with one row per application, one column per piece of data. If I go into the breakdowns, it gets even more interesting. This is where people really want to drill into where their money is going for your end of year reports and so on. So I've got an overview here. Applications by status, or maybe applications over time. I want to see what the pattern is. Do I expect, if I run the same scheme next year, is it normal for everybody to hold off until the final week before a deadline to submit and so on? But the real interesting one is application questions. So every graph I make here can be either a pie chart or a bar chart. Every question, whether it's a location question, multiple choice, multiple select, yes, no, you can generate graphs and maps. But this was the group address. And again, this would be if you have a two kilometer radius from a particular project, this would be very useful. You can zoom in, you can click on any pin, and you can navigate to the application by clicking on the name. But I suppose it gets, if I go away from that one to see I go into the region, we'll say I have a few made up regions here. All of this data can be filtered. So it can be filtered to show just the complete ones, or the draft ones, or both. Go to all. If you don't want to include the not answered ones, if you want to filter it by tag, I just want to see this by the people who are approved. I just want to see with or without tag. I want to put a date range on it. Or indeed, I want to filter it by answers to other questions. So if I go into my advanced filtering here, bear in mind now I'm looking at the region. And if I go in and I say I want to add a question from the application form to filter that graph. So I'm going to say the which of the following goals. And I want to look at which region has people that are addressing diversity. You know, and you can add as many of these questions as you want to filter any output. I better stop there and hand back to Dee, because I'm very grateful for everybody giving their time this morning. As I said at the start, I normally take about an hour doing this, and if anybody on this webinar would like to do a one-on-one demo, please feel free to chase Dee up afterwards. We'd be delighted.